What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, the other day we started a little series, just kind of fun and speculative series called What If. And in this series, obviously, we go over hypothetical situations, stuff that didn't happen but very well could have happened, or stuff that could happen in the future. And we just kind of go over and see, how maybe, or in my opinion, how things would have turned out, how the Lions organization would look if those certain things had happened. And, that's what we're doing again today. Our first video was on what if Jim Caldwell was never fired by Bob Quinn after the 2017 season. If you haven't seen that video, go back and check it out. I think it is a very, very good one, and it was a very fun topic to research and speculate about. But today might be even better. So as we know, or as all Lions fans know, Matthew Stafford ended up going down halfway through the season, leaving us, without our starting quarterback. We ended up going 0-8 without Matthew Stafford. So what if Matthew Stafford doesn't go down with an injury? What if he plays the entire season at the quality he was playing at before he was injured? That's what we're going to talk about today. But before we do get into the video, if you are new to the channel and are enjoying the content, consider liking the videos and subscribing to the channel. It takes 2 seconds out of your day to make mine, and I would be very, very appreciative to everybody that helps me. But with that being said, let's get into talk about what if Matthew Stafford never goes down with an injury. Now, before we get into what Matthew Stafford would have accomplished if he were healthy, let's talk about what he accomplished when he was healthy in the 2019 season. So, as I mentioned, Matthew Stafford played in 8 games last season for the Detroit Lions. In those 8 games, the Detroit Lions went 3-4-1. Matthew Stafford passed for 2,499 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. So he was having one of his most productive seasons in his career. Now, Matthew Stafford missed the final 8 games, that being the Chicago game, the Dallas Cowboys game, the Washington Redskins game, the other Chicago Bears game, the Minnesota Vikings game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Denver Broncos, and the Green Bay Packers games. So how many games do we win if Matthew Stafford remains our starting quarterback for the rest of the season? I said we win 3. I think we win the Washington Redskins game, I think we win the Green Bay Packers game, and I think we win the Chicago Bears game at Chicago. Now, I'm going to go through each one of these games and tell you why I think we lost it and why I think Matthew Stafford would have made the difference. So the Washington game is the one I feel the strongest about. The Detroit Lions traveled to Washington last season and lost by 3 points. However, in that game, Jeff Driscoll, who was the starting quarterback filling in for Matthew Stafford, threw 3 interceptions, and they were very bad interceptions. He threw 3, and he lost a fumble. I think Matthew Stafford, and I don't believe he threw a touchdown either. So, Matthew Stafford threw 5 interceptions in the first 8 games. Jeff Driscoll threw 3 in that game alone. I don't think Matthew Stafford throws any picks in that game. If he does, it's 1 at the most. He throws more touchdowns. He doesn't fumble the ball most likely. And the Detroit Lions not only have more possessions to score points, they also don't give the Washington Redskins as many chances to, go down, drive, and score that game-winning touchdown. I think the Detroit Lions win this game handedly if Matthew Stafford is still there, just because we keep the ball more, we score more, less turnovers, less chances for the Washington Redskins to score. And I think we win this one pretty handedly if Matthew Stafford remains our starting quarterback. Now the Green Bay game, the final game of the year, Week 17. The Detroit Lions really had nothing to play for at this point in real life. The Green Bay Packers were playing for a first-round bye in the NFC playoffs. Now the Detroit Lions lost this game by 3, and David Blau threw 0 touchdowns and interception. The Green Bay secondary really wasn't that good last year, and I think that Matthew Stafford throws at least 1 touchdown. I don't remember, how many touchdowns he threw against the Green Bay secondary in the first meeting. He threw at least 1, and there was several that he threw very good spots. There was one that T.J. Hockenson couldn't quite bring in. There was a couple that he threw very good balls, and the wide receiver just wasn't quite able to get his feet down or wasn't quite able to get to the end zone. And Matthew Stafford, in my opinion, definitely would have at least scored 1 touchdown in that game. He would have either thrown or rushed for a touchdown. Maybe they pull out that trick play still and Matthew Stafford receives for a touchdown also. But I really think that if Matthew Stafford plays in that game, we get at least 1 more touchdown. He probably doesn't throw that interception because that interception was pretty bad. And, I just think that Matthew Stafford is able to pull that game out and, end the Lions season on a good note. Now, the final game, I think we win the Chicago Bears game at Chicago. Now, we lost that game by 3 points. I believe it was Jeff Driscoll who was playing in that game, but I can't remember. Whoever the quarterback was threw 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and was sacked twice. And that interception was a very bad one. The linebacker was sitting out it the whole way, and he just threw it right to him. Matthew Stafford does not make that mistake, and Matthew Stafford gets in the end zone at least 1 time to, at least tie up that game, and I believe that the Detroit Lions win that game also. So the Detroit Lions finished 6-9-1. Not a very good record, obviously, especially after going 6-10 the year prior, but it's still around the same, around the same place that they were last year. A little bit worse, and the Detroit Lions actually end up with the 9th pick in the NFL draft. The Washington Redskins, which is tied with the Cincinnati Bengals for the worst record in the NFL. So I don't quite know how that would have worked out between 1 and 2, but no matter what, I still think Washington takes Chase Young, and I still think that the Cincinnati Bengals end up with Joe Burrow, because the Washington Redskins really don't need a quarterback. And if obviously in real life, if the Cincinnati Bengals had the first overall pick, they're not taking Chase Young anyway. So I think those first 2 picks stay the same. Washington still gets their guy in Chase Young. Now, Chicago didn't actually have a first-round pick, so that wasn't a huge deal. That's not really going to affect their, obviously, first-round thing, because they didn't have one. But the Green Bay Packers, I still think, end up with Jordan Love also. They just don't have to trade up, give up that extra pick to move up a couple spots to draft Jordan Love. They sit right where they are, and they get him, right where they sit. They don't got to give up any picks. So for the rest of this video, I'm going to go through what I think the Detroit Lions draft would have looked like if they had gone 6, 9, and 1. Obviously, that being the 9th pick, sitting just behind the Arizona Cardinals and just in front of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I'm going to tell you who I think they pick up until the 4th round, because after the 5th round, it just gets too hard. There's a lot of trades. There's a lot of everything like that. And, after the 5th round or after the 4th round, the chance of them actually making the team and being, good contributors are a little low. But let me know who you guys think we take in the 5th round plus if you want to do the research on your own. But in this, for this thing, I went with the pick that the Detroit Lions were at, and then any player that was available after that pick or at that pick, I, made fair game for the Detroit Lions, and I made the picks the best I could based on what I think our needs would be. Getting into the 9th pick. Now, assuming everything goes the same, Burrow goes 1, Young goes 2, Jeff Okudah goes 3, and, it goes all the way down. I have the Detroit Lions selecting Jedrick Wills, the tackle out of Alabama, at the 9th overall pick. Originally, he went to the Cleveland Browns at the 10th overall pick. I think the Detroit Lions get him a couple picks before the Cleveland Browns are able to pick him up. The Detroit Lions need help on the offensive line. They obviously have Taylor Decker. They can put Jedrick Wills at the right tackle, move Big V inside to guard, and obviously have Frank Ragnow center. And then you only have one question mark at one guard position, making our offensive line look so much better. Now, moving on to pick 41, which is what the Detroit Lions would have had if they had gone 6, 9, and 1. I think they draft Jonathan Taylor. Now, in the real-life draft, obviously, we drafted DeAndre Swift, so they wanted a running back. And, at this point, Swift is most likely off the board. I don't see Swift making it to pick 41. I didn't think he would make it past the first round in general, but he did. So I think the Detroit Lions still end up with a running back, but they end up with more of a pure running back in Jonathan Taylor, who is more of a bell cow, who is, going to pound the rock more often than he's going to catch the ball. I think DeAndre Swift was a better running back all around. I think he's a better receiving back, but I would not be sad if Jonathan Taylor were to be a Detroit Lion. That is who the Detroit Lions pick at pick 41. Moving on to pick 73. At this point, Julian Okwara is gone, but the guy who's not gone is Zach Bond, a linebacker that I thought the Detroit Lions would have high interest in. He's a playmaker. He can coverage. He can rush the passer. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Jamie Collins because he's an athletic guy, can do a lot of different things. And I think if we bring him in, he can learn under Jamie Collins a little bit, learn how to pass rush a little, learn how to cover a little bit, just be that kind of Swiss Army knife that he can do everything very, very well. And, maybe not transform your defense, but he can be a very big role player. And then in a couple years when Jamie Collins decides to retire or his contract is up, Zach Bond could take over right in that role and pick up right where Jamie Collins left off. So I think if we do pick this low and Zach Bond is still there, I think we take Zach Bond. In the actual draft, he did not go until pick 75 or 74. He went after 73, I know for a fact. So I have the Detroit Lions selecting him as Julian Okwara is off the board, and we still need linebacker help. Moving on to the 75th pick. This is going to be a familiar guy. However, the Detroit Lions don't actually need to trade down because they are already sitting very close to this spot. I have the Detroit Lions selecting Jonah Jackson. Now, yes, Jonah Jackson we did select in the actual draft. However, I don't think we need to move up this time. I don't think that we need to trade back up because the Detroit Lions are still sitting there. Now, they select Jonah Jackson if they got that other guard spot. Then moving into the 4th round, I still think they select Logan Stenberg. Now, I know we already have Big V moving into guard. I know we have Jonah Jackson moving into guard. But Logan Stenberg he is a freakish talent when it comes to run blocking. And even if we had our whole line situated already, I still think that we draft Logan Stenberg. I still think that he has a role in this team being a mauler up front. On run plays, we put him in, and he's going to push the defensive line. He's going to push the linebackers if he gets to the 2nd level. And God forbid if he gets to the 3rd level, your running back better be gone because if Logan Stenberg is in the 3rd level, no one's stopping him. him, and all you got to do is run behind Logan because that guy's going to carry you all the way to the end zone. This guy's an athletic freak. He's a big guy. He's a strong guy. He's a nasty guy. Something the Detroit Lions want to bring as far as a personality type and a playing, and as far as, how you want your guards to play. You want to be big, nasty, and be very good in the run game if you want to transition to a run team. So I still think we select Logan Stenberg to be that mauler in the run game. Now, as I said, after that, it gets very hard to predict because there's a lot of trades, there's a lot of things, and, just it would be too unpredictable. And after the 4th round, really the odds of them making the team and being very big, producers for your team gets a little lower. So if you guys want to go through and tell me who you think we draft in the 5th round and beyond, obviously, let me know that down in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you think the rest of the draft turns out. But I would not be mad at this draft. I mean, Jedrick Wills is a very good tackle out of Alabama. Jonathan Taylor, a fantastic running back out of Wisconsin. Zach Bond, a very good linebacker out of Wisconsin also. Jonah Jackson, still a very good guard. We drafted him in early for a reason. And Logan Stenberg, as I said, is a nasty force up front. So let me know what you guys think of this draft class. Would you like this draft class better than our actual one? What do you think the Lions do after Logan Stenberg in this draft? And, how do you think the rest of this turns out? Let me know that down in the comments below. If you are new to the channel, as I said, and are enjoying the content, consider liking the videos and subscribe to the channel. It takes 2 seconds that video to make mine. But with that being said, that is all I have for you guys today. Hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic day. If there is more Lions news before tomorrow, I'll obviously make a video letting everybody know. But until then, that is all I have for you guys today. Have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will see all of you in the video tomorrow. Bye, guys.